Here's what I learned from 4 years of experience in the info product space. This video is going to be a little bit different. I'm first going to tell you about my experience and then I'm going to tell you what I learned. So let's just get straight into it. I started by selling AI models about 5 years ago. Now, these were very niche, very specific AI models. Not a lot of people knew about these types of models and what they could do. And what I also did was I was very active in these very niche subreddits which discuss those AI models. And over time, I became one of the most known people inside of those subreddits. And inside, we discussed the AI models and their specific applications. And from there, I found a lot of clients who were willing to buy my models. There were also a lot of people who wanted my advice and they wanted my help on how to create those models. So that was something I also did. I helped a lot of them. I gave out advice. And since so many people asked me for advice, I created my first info product about 4 years ago. I sold this on Patreon, but then ChatGPT came out and my product became obsolete. So both the AI models that I was selling and the info product that I had became obsolete. And that's when I decided to quit AI because it is really hard to compete or practically impossible to compete against these billion-dollar companies with thousands of employees if you're all by yourself with very little capital. And so around that same time, I got into school and I joined one of the leading communities because this was a community of a person who I really looked up to and who I learned a lot from on their social media. And after a certain amount of time, I started to provide a lot of value. I started to help the members. And since this was a very big community, there were also smaller, more niche parts which discussed some of the topics in the broader category. And I became the top member in one of those smaller parts. I think there were about 4 or 5 top members, and each of us had their own niche within that broader niche. And since I became one of the top members and the team saw that I was providing a lot of value for free, they asked me to become a part of their team. And so from there on, I started learning a lot about the info product space. I learned a lot about school, and I also found my passion for info product operating. And so that's when I decided to start helping creators create and scale their info products. So, what have I learned over this period? Well, the first thing is that your conversion rate will be lower than expected. So, what I was expecting when I sold my first info product is that I was thinking I'm gonna make a lot of money from this because I'd helped so many people and so many people had DM'd me on Reddit. I think it was about 120 people. And so I messaged each of them, all of the people who asked me for advice, and I sent them the sales letter and I also gave them a link to my product which I sold on Patreon. And out of those 120 people, only 2 or 3 people bought and stayed in for multiple months. So that's about a conversion rate of 2 or 3%, which really wasn't what I was expecting. Now, of course, some of the accounts had gone inactive and some people just weren't interested. So don't think that if you launch your product, you're going to have this incredible conversion rate because that simply is not the case. And in my opinion, 2 to 3% is still high for a lot of info products. Then the next thing, providing value is key. I've seen tons of creators who launch an info product and their sole intent is to make money. Now, making money, of course, is always a part of it, but the problem is when it's your only intent. If you're trying to extract as much money as possible from your customer, that's not going to work out in the long term. You have to provide value. You firstly have to provide value for free so that your customer knows that you are capable of providing value. And you also have to provide value once they're inside of your product. People are not stupid. If they see that something's not getting them results, then they're probably going to leave and that's going to harm your reputation and you're going to have to give out a lot of refunds. So don't think this is some easy get rich quick scheme that you can try. No, you actually have to provide value and help your customers get to their goals. The next thing is that running ads only works for a proven concept. Your concept has to be proven to work. What do I mean by this? Well, I used to run ads for products, and what I learned from that is that if there's no demand for your product, then ads aren't going to cut it. You can have the best ads in the world, but if nobody wants your product, then nobody is going to buy. The next lesson is that people buy from you because they like you and because you provide value. Now, I've already talked about the providing value part here, but they also buy from you because they like you and because you are like them. Because if they see similarities between you and themselves, then they know that they can reach their goals because you did. And if you tell them how you did it, then they know that there is a path for them that they can follow. And if they like you, that's just going to make it so they're more likely to buy from you. If you go to a store, let's say you're going to buy a new car, who would you rather buy a car from? Somebody that's nice to you, somebody that's kind and that's always willing to help you, or somebody who is very rude and doesn't show a lot of respect? Probably the first person. The next lesson is that school is the best platform. Look, I've tried a lot of different platforms. I've looked into WOP. I think that's garbage. I have used Patreon, as I said. I think that's very bad for InfoProduct. It's good if you are a content creator and you're trying to create extra content, like an entertainment content creator, for example. But if you're in the educational space, school is the best platform without a doubt. The next thing is that you should not sell a make money course. This is another story from a time when I was in a make money community. Now, I was already doing this business model that I'm currently doing, but I was checking out what this person was saying, and I saw this person close about $10,000 in recurring revenue in a single webinar. And yes, this person made a lot of money at that time. But you want to know what happened? A lot of people, including me, could see through it because this person sold a make money course on something similar to dropshipping. And that person also showed how much money he made from that. And that's when I saw he's making more money from selling the course than actually doing the business model. And so that made me realize that firstly, I was doing the right thing in helping creators. And secondly, it made me make a prediction. And that prediction came true because when I saw what this person had just done, how much money that person had just made from selling that product, I predicted that that wouldn't last for long and people would very quickly see through it. What happened? The person had to close his community and he had to give a lot of refunds and he lost a lot of money. You should not sell make money courses, especially if you make more money from them than from what the business model you're teaching people actually is. Then the next thing, market size is not equal to potential sales. You can be in the biggest market, but that doesn't mean you're going to get sales. It's like the blue and the red ocean. If you've ever heard of this, it's a business term. A blue ocean is a place where there hasn't been a lot of fishing, and so the ocean's still blue, but the red ocean is where there's been a lot of fishing, and so there's blood in the water. That's from all the competition. If you go in a big market, that's a red ocean because there's a lot of people competing. If you go in a smaller market, there may be less to catch, but there's less people competing with you. So the market size really doesn't matter if you're looking at closing potential sales, unless you have found a market which absolutely nobody or only a very small amount of people are in. The next thing I learned is long form over short form. Why is this? Well, it's because of exposure time. What do I mean by this? Well, the more somebody is exposed to you and to what you are selling, the more likely they are to buy your product. Long form makes it so that people are exposed to you for a longer period of time, while short form might expose people to you for only 1 or 2 minutes a day. Long form can easily take up 30 minutes of a person's day just from watching you. The next thing I learned, and this is by far the worst mistake I've seen a lot of people make, is don't switch niche. You absolutely should not switch your niche ever. Imagine joining a product about a topic that you are very passionate in and you want to reach your goals from having joined this product. Now, what if all of a sudden this person decided to change what that product was about? Let's say that it was a fitness product and now all of a sudden it's a product about becoming a mechanic. You'd probably leave because why would you pay for something that you're really not interested in? And I know this is an extreme example, but I saw so many people do this. They switch niche, and even if it's just like a 50% change, that's still ruinous because it's going to destroy your community. Similar to this person I mentioned here with the 10K webinar. Also closed one community, opened another, switched the niche, and that ended up flopping for that person. And then there is the last lesson that I'm going to give you today, and that is that small changes make no impact until they do. What do I mean by this? Well, you can change all these little things and you're not going to see any real results. And so you just keep on changing small things and nothing happens. And then at a certain point, something happens. And I'll use a graph to show you this. This is what happens when you make small changes. This is where you are. Nothing's happening. You keep making small changes, and then all of a sudden, something happens and it just shoots up. That is what it looks like if you make all these small changes, but you have to be able to know what changes to make and make sure that you don't instantly give up if a small change doesn't work. So don't get discouraged if you're changing all these things and nothing seems to work. You just have to look and find the exact things that you have to change so that it can actually work out for you. That is one of the things I do for the people that I partner with. And I know which small changes can make an impact. I also know which big changes can make an impact. And so the waiting time for something to actually change for my partners is a lot smaller than it is for people who do not have an operator working with them. And that's what I do. I am operating in the info product space. I help my partners, which are content creators, create and scale their info products. So if you're interested in that, if you're a content creator and you want me to help you create and scale your info product so that you can focus on providing value and so that I can focus on all the back end and business stuff, then click the first link in the description. And if this video was helpful, then like and subscribe.